about Marcus. Tell me what you think about Christ. Made their sacrifice now. Tell me what you think about equal rights for all, everywhere. Say what you think, what you think, what you think, what you think about justice. What you know, what you know, what you know, what you know about love. Why all the segregation, all our but one nation. Oh, let us unite as one. Let us unite as one. Tell me what you know about love. Tell me what you know about hate that keeps us separated. Tell me what you think about equal rights for all in every way. Say what you think, what you think, what you think, what you think about justice. What you know, what you know, what you know, what you know about love. Why all the segregation? We all are but one nation. Oh, let us unite as one. Let us unite as one. Oh, love. So many can testify. Love, oh, love. But you still can't satisfy. You keep on praying. You wish that day would come when there'll be equal rights and justice for every man. Say what you think, what you think, what you think, what you think about justice. What you know, what you know, what you know, what you know about love. Why all the segregation? We all are but one nation. Oh, let us unite as one. Let us unite. What you think, what you think.
Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this another edition of Policing with You. And this morning, we will be discussing the Public Order Act, which is an act that deals with public meetings and public processions. The reason that we have decided to discuss this act at this time is because of the season that we're in. We know that we are in what we call election mode, and of such, these are some of the things that have been happening and will continue to happen up until election is called. And so to sensitize the public, we have come this morning to discuss this act, what it says about public meetings and public processions, and we'll hear about offenses, we'll hear about penalties, we'll hear about things that should happen and should not happen, etc., etc. And to discuss this topic with us this morning, we have with us Superintendent Travis Rogers. Welcome, Superintendent Rogers, and Sergeant Darrell Boone. Welcome, yes, Sergeant Boone.
Thank you very much.
And so we will start right off. We know that we'll pause after some of the questions. We'll pause to get your calls, and the number to call is 465-2555, and if you're overseas, the number to call is 718-577-2916. That's 718-577-2916. Thank you once again for being with us, and let's discuss. Okay, so we start with Superintendent Rogers. Superintendent Rogers, the Public Order Act, as I indicated, it deals with public meetings, public processions, and so forth. So who has the lawful authority to enforce this act?
Thank you, and good morning, Superintendent Diana Mills, and I must say thank you for inviting me to this prestigious policing with you that is here every Thursday, and it's a privilege for me to be here and impart knowledge. Yes, we're dealing with the Public Order Act, and this act, and I would tend to utilize the act itself, so I must be quoted properly when reading or when explaining or sensitizing members of the public. And then the question is asked, who can enforce this particular act? And for the interpretation from the act, it would say the armed forces of the Crown, and this is generally members of the St. Kitts and Nevis Defence Force acting in accordance with the act, and then Her Majesty's Forces, which is the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force, headed by the Commissioner of Police.
Okay, thank you very much, Superintendent Rogers. What is a public meeting? And then you can also go on to speak about a public procession.
Yeah. Thank you again for the question. And the interpretation would state here, public meeting includes any meeting in a public place or any meeting with the public or any section thereof are permitted to attend. This may be whether on payment or otherwise, and that's public meeting defined. Public procession means a procession in a public place comprising pedestrians, wholly or in part, and vehicles of all descriptions. And of course, that constitutes both the public meeting and the public procession.
Okay, good. Well, we'll move to Sergeant Boone,
Yes, please.
who just seems to be eager to get in at this point. Sergeant Boone, is it lawful to have a public procession during the night?
Well, good morning again to all, and the simple answer to that question is no. It is not lawful to have public procession in the night whatsoever.
Okay. Okay, well, day and night have different meanings depending on what we're dealing with. For example, if we're dealing with a burglary defines night to be that interval between 8 o'clock in the night to 5 a.m. the next succeeding day. When it comes to like traffic definition, it's a different thing as well. So under this act, what is day and what is night?
Well, according to the act, the day according to the act will be 5 o'clock in the morning to 6 p.m. on that said day, and the night will be 6 p.m. going over to 5 a.m. the next succeeding day. So that will be the night and day according to the act.
This particular
Yes,
act.
please.
Okay, so that everyone understands.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in order to hold a public march, an application must be made in writing for a permit to have such march. What time frame is given under this act in which to make the application, and to whom should the application be made?
The application should be made to the Chief of Police, and the time frame that is given would be no more than 14 days and no less than 48 hours. So it must be within that time frame for the permit to be granted. However, the Commissioner of Police does have the autonomy to, based on the circumstance, give some leeway to that time frame.
Okay. Other than the Commissioner of Police, does the law provide for like divisional commanders? Yeah.
Well, you see, that is why I said the Chief of Police, because
Yes.
the context of the Chief of Police is different to the context of the Commissioner of Police.
Okay,
so
right.
the Chief of Police, according to the Act, will be, yes, the Commissioner of Police,
Yes.
and whoever is in charge of the different divisions. We have 3 of them, A, B, and C. So whoever the superintendent is in charge of that division under this Act is also termed as the Chief of Police.
Wonderful. That's what I wanted
Yes.
to bring out. Okay, well, I'll move back to Superintendent Rogers, who may order a public meeting or march to disperse, and who can be called upon to effectively enforce such an order.
Okay, thank you again for that question. But before I journey to that question, I just wanted to add something from my colleague here with reference to permits.
Yes.
I think that the public should know and should be sensitized at this juncture, where when they're applying, there are certain things that they must put in the permit,
Okay.
like start time, end time, route, the estimated number of persons who should be present, and that would enhance the commissioner's or the chief of police ability to answer quickly, because once these pertinent questions and details are in, then he would quickly look at it, assess and make a decision without calling back and forth. So I'd just like to add that. And with reference to dispersing a public match or meeting, what the Act says is that the person who is identified as the leader of that particular match, or the second in command, or the chairperson of that match, once there's a discrepancy seen by the law enforcement, then that person will be called upon to assist in dispersing that match. Failure to comply with the instructions of the law enforcement, that person will be committing an offense under the Act, Public Order Act. And there are penalties, of course, that goes with it. And my recollection says it's about 6 months, not exceeding, and or 2,500 or 2,500 in fine, or you can be fined and confined. Yes, so persons must be aware of these sensitive natures so that they could be acting in accordance with our laws.
And in relation to the police officer, is there a specific rank that is authorized to deal with such
That's
a
correct,
situation?
Superintendent Mills. A corporal and above, or not below the rank of a corporal, is authorized to give these instructions.
Okay,
Yes.
wonderful. Okay, Sergeant Boone, do you have powers of arrest under these circumstances?
Yes, you actually do have powers of arrest under these circumstances. There are some cases, however, which would be specified in the Act, where in terms of a charge being preferred, there must be consent of the Director of Public Prosecution. But there is power of arrest in these circumstances.
Okay. What are some offenses provided for by this Act that can occur at a lawful public meeting? And I specifically speak to under the Act because we know that any offense can be committed anywhere.
Yes.
But the law would have specified certain offenses that may be likely to occur at these public meetings / processions. Tell us about
Well,
it.
some of the offenses would be the use of or taking to any prohibited weapon to the meeting, and it will specify when it speaks of firearms, but also it includes, knives and that sort of stuff. Any prohibited weapon, that is an offense under this Act, and I guess we'll get into that a bit more later. It speaks to not having any procession or march in the night. So of course, by virtue of it being not accepted within the Act, it becomes an offense. It also speaks to persons who may seek to organize these marches illegally, and so that would be an offense as well. And so really and truly, the Act speaks to anything which goes against the march being done in the night, or what happens around the march, what happens around the public meeting, which becomes an offense. Any person who aids and abets, any person who organizes or incites for such to be done becomes an offense under the Act.
Do you have like disorderly behavior?
Yes,
in
yes. Any
public
behavior,
meeting
yes.
to prevent
In
and
terms of
obstruct the
disruption.
transaction
Yes.
of
Yes.
whatever business is happening there?
That's
And we
correct,
know
yes.
that these are some of the things that
are
you will
likely.
see from time to time
Definitely,
at these
definitely.
meetings.
Yes.
And so we are trying to discourage these kind of behaviors out there. Okay. So, Sergeant Boone, well, let me speak to Superintendent Rogers. Would have mentioned the penalties
Yes.
in terms of for the general
Yes.
offenses. But in terms of Sergeant Boone would have spoken about firearm,
Firearms, yes.
taking firearm to this meeting. What penalty? Is the penalty the same for a matter like this?
Definitely not. Actually, the law obviously would have considered this a more serious offence than the general offences that commits under the Act. And first I must say that a licensed firearm holder cannot take his firearm to a public meeting or procession. This may only be persons authorized, like a police or defense force member or member of maybe cabinet, using the firearm as his protection. Other than that, no one else is allowed to take any offensive weapon which firearms falls within under the Firearms Act. And if this is done and committed, the penalty is 12 months, not exceeding 12 months, or not exceeding 5,000. Fined or confined. No, I think no. My bad. I think it's just straight off.
One
12
or
months,
the other.
Yeah, one or the other.
In this
Yes.
instance.
Yes. And in the general scheme of things, you would have just the 6 months and 2,500, and that can be convicted, fined, and confined.
And to piggyback on what the superintendent is saying, you know, sometimes certain things are left silent. So it may tell you the persons who are allowed, and one may argue, but if I'm a licensed firearm holder, how does that become illegal? So what the Act did, the Act says for avoidance of doubt.
Yes,
Right.
that's correct.
Licensed firearm holders are prohibited from taking such to the public mats and to the meetings as well.
Public meetings. Okay,
Yes,
so
thank you
that
for
it is clear.
So that it is clear.
You know, there are many licensed firearm holders out there. And just as you said, they can say, well, you know, I'm licensed to carry a firearm, so I'm going to a public meeting, I can walk with it because I'm licensed. But as you indicated, the law specifically indicated that out of the abundance of doubt,
Yes,
you know, you
not allowed.
clear up that. Okay, I think, is this a good time to take a break? We take a break at this time.
In case you don't know us, you're just twisting the dial away and managed to bump into us. This is ZIZ Radio from out of St. Kitts.
This message is for every business owner in St. Kitts and Nevis. Jumpstart your business and set yourself apart from your competitors with an advertising solution from ZIZ Radio, ZIZ Television, or Big Wave. The Advertising Solutions Department at ZIZ prides itself on providing client-focused advertising solutions that make sense for all local businesses. Don't use the excuse that you can't afford to advertise. Call us at 465-2621. We will sit with you, discover your needs, and design a solution that fits your budget. Advertising works, and with ZIZ, it works even better for your business.
When you're behind the wheel, stay alert. Driving safely should always be your top priority. Protect yourself and other road users by keeping your attention on the road. Stay alive, avoid distractions like cell phones, and maintain a safe distance from other vehicles. Only overtake when it is absolutely safe to do so. And remember to be on the lookout for motorcyclists. The life you save today may be yours. Alert today, alive tomorrow. This message is brought to you by AKT Motorcycles, available at courts.
Hello, St. Kitts and Nevis. Go VIP with Prime. Here's your chance to be the Prime winner of the ultimate VIP experience to the festival from June 23rd. Simply activate any Prime Plus bundle or sign up to any Prime Plus postpaid plan for a chance to win big with Digicel. Get glammed or groomed, enjoy spa treatment, VIP pickup and drop off to the event, plus VIP passes for you and 2 friends. Yes, you heard right. It's time to go VIP with Digicel Prime Plus bundles. Activate via the My Digicel app or dial star 141#. Digicel is better together.
Oh, yo, 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 yo. I'm way. Oh, yo, 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 yo.
Okay, welcome back to Policing with You, and we are here at this time discussing the Public Order Act, specifically public meetings and processions and the different offenses and penalties, etc. So you can call in and ask any questions if you have, and the number to call is 465-2555. If you're calling from overseas, the number to call is 718-577-2916. Okay.
You have a caller?
Welcome, caller.
Yes, a pleasant good morning to everyone there.
Good morning.
I got a little consult, a little question. An incident took place this week with a young man and 2 girls. All right? Okay, he start like, the girls, them have must say puppy or something. And he talked to them concerning the puppy. They just stole off the puppy.
Could you just hold one moment, caller? We are not hearing you. Just hold a moment, please. Can you speak now?
Okay, I have
Yes.
a concern with a gentleman and 2 girls.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
Okay, the problem starts with the puppy. He talked to them about the puppy. Now, well, he just told off the puppy. One of the girls, where he lived there, jump up in front of the face and say, she gonna poison him and she'll effing kill him and everything. Well, he choke her in she throat with his hand. And she fall. So she come back up again after he hold she hand him and tell her behave herself. Well, he let her go because she's threatening him straight, say she must poison him. She don't live there, you know. She only go by a girlfriend, as she was. He walk out, he go in Sandy Point Station. He come down the path, meet 2 officers. Me go to call him 2 officers. They drive back up with him, because he was going to the station. Drive back up with him. When they reach up the girl, I go turn off with the girl. They block the road with the girl. She jump out the girl going on with all kind of thing in front of the police. Up to now, he say he give statement in front of the police. He say where he that speaking, none of the police got no book, no pen, no phone. So he say, I give you a statement and none of you right, I just watch me and I watch you man. So he there, and then the girl now start to swing in front of the police, you know. Say, he lie, this. The time he say, she's full of ganja, you know. She just don't smoke. So he say he end up have to leave them now because they tell him, look, I'm going to put a lie upon the 2 of you and the woman. Because none of you are taking a statement from me, so he end up went to Sandy Point Station. He catch a bus. Imagine 2 police on the scene, you know. He got to leave his own house and go to Sandy Point Station and go make the same report. So, I just reporting this because it's not easy. The man, so if you checking them now, they'll lock up. That's my point. They lock up. She the checking in the man. She don't live there. She only there with the girl. Or she don't poison him. She don't do this and do that. So he's supposed to take the line in hand and do what he got to do. Because he don't say if she come back now, what he'll do. He don't went to Sandy Point Station. So I got to look into this Sandy Point police station. Policemen them. Tell them when they go do the duty, please. It don't happen to me about 4 times down here too, you know. They come to me. Not one of them got a pen, book, not even a phone. Because they will tape in doing things. They need to come better in Sandy Point, you know. This thing you need to deal with them people on Sandy Point. Sandy Point got this bad record. They don't come out of that. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. And of course, as you indicated, this is something for us to look into, to check with the Sandy Point police and to see what they would have and to find out what is there for us to know, what more is there for us to know, and to ensure that this matter is properly investigated so that the gentleman and everyone can be comfortable. Thank you very much for your concern and for bringing it to our attention. We have another caller.
Hello, good morning. Hello.
Welcome, caller.
Good morning, Superintendent Mills. How are you?
Good morning, sir. I'm
Good morning, Superintendent Rogers, and good morning, Sergeant Boone.
Good morning.
And good morning to Mr. GQ. This program, I must say, is timely because we all know that we are about to enter the silly season. So that's why I'm glad that you all choose this timing, this appropriate time to bring this in relation to meetings and what should be done and what the offenses are in relation to meeting and public possession. The question that I have for Superintendent Rogers, now that I personally is aware that it's not just the commissioner but the superintendent in district have permission, in relation to meetings held in certain areas where the streets are blocked off, are there any consideration given to especially emergency vehicle, just in case you have an emergency, how they will be able to traverse in relation to the entire road being blocked off? Is any consideration given to that before the permission is given? Because that is something we realize is creeping up again. Especially you have areas in Sandy Point, at Clevery Hill in particular, and Old Road, right there in the gut. Those areas, very challenging, especially to go up Wingfield Road. The road up there is not the best. Many persons do not know the traffic. So I'm just asking if there's any consideration given before, because my thing is that these general meetings can be held in other places in the community. So I'm just asking if there's any consideration given to the person who are seeking permission before the permission is given. And again, gentlemen, it's a great program, and I hope a lot of persons are listening and following what are the offenses in relation to meeting and public possession. Thank you all for listening. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay, thank you, caller, for that important question. I think that too is timely, and I will tend to speak on behalf of the commissioner because he's the person who permits apply to. But during our meetings, of course, to answer your question, that consideration is always at the top of the commissioner's head when it comes to approving meetings that blocks the road, especially the Island Main Road. Lots of time, you may not know, but we are forced to speak to the organizers and relocate these meetings in the interest of personal safety and the emergency of the ambulance and fire trucks. Sometimes that they are allowed, but adequate police will be put in place to police these functions, and that sergeant from the district or inspector or superintendent will monitor the situation and may have to do changes if he needs to. But yes, Mr. Wilshire, consideration are always looked at when it comes to blocking the Island Main Road.
Okay. Question? Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Superintendent Rogers. Well, since the caller spoke about that question, offhand, do we know of any incident that may have taken place where a public meeting was on a main road and traffic had to be relocated to the other roads? Or you think that this would have worked in the past?
Yeah. Well, it was always a challenge, that the congestion, because now we have well in excess of maybe 15,000 vehicles, not like in the past where you had 5,000. And we have had situation where we had to relocate from the Island Main Road. I think one such one, not this season, but past seasons, we had to move from like Old Road, Main Road to Green Tree in Green Tree in end of Old Road, and the lawn there. Yes, we have had that. I think in Sandy Point we have had a situation where at Cleverly Hill where we had to relocate it, the meeting, and it's just through dialogue. We discuss with the planners, the person applying, and then we put our issues forward, and then they understand and move. But you know, it's always a challenge that most political party would want to be in the view of the public as a pass. You see what is happening, but they must understand that it's, you know, in the public order and the interest of safety, and then for our emergency vehicles. So we would make this decision.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Superintendent Rogers, tell us about, because I think what we would have been discussing in terms of persons applying to the Commissioner of Police for permission to keep public meetings, public processions, will really be referring to the locals.
Yes.
But in terms of foreigners, if there's any foreigner here at our shows and wishing to have such public meeting or procession, is there any difference where that is concerned?
Well, yes, Ms. Mills, thank you again for that question. For the Act, and foreigners would be persons not born here or persons not fall within under the Immigration Act. They become foreigners, and for them to take part in any public procession, public meetings, they have to apply, but only this time they would apply to the Minister of National Security according to the Act, and then they would have to do the same, outlining their nationality, of course, the time of this procession or meeting, ending, starting, route, etc., like I explained before, and then the minister would consider that, and then he may approve or disapprove under the Public Order Act.
So instead of the commissioner this time, they have to apply to the minister responsible for national security.
That's correct. That's correct, yes.
Okay.
And basically, it says here that if they want to take part, speak at any public, they don't have to be the organizer, but they have to speak at any public procession or match, then they will have. There's a few areas that they will have to see, and here in section 26, subsection 2, is a person not belonging to St. Christopher Nevis who desire to organize, hold, call together, speak at, or take part in any public meeting or public match shall at least in 3 days. All right, and that's not less than 48 hours or not more than 14 days. Before the day of the event, she or he who intends to hold, call together, speak at, or partake in such public meeting match apply to the minister for a permit to do so.
Okay.
Yes.
And if by, for example, for whatever reason, that person is not allowed, the permit is refused, can that person appeal to anyone?
Yes, my colleague Goon would answer the question. Yes.
Yes, of course. The person does have the right to appeal under this act, and the act specifies that that person should, within 7 days, make such appeal in writing to the Governor General, according to the act.
Okay.
So basically, it's not a done deal after they refuse for whatever reason. So they still have an option to go and discuss their unavailability to have that match.
Okay. And tell me, if we are having a public meeting and the officer who is working there realizes that someone is doing something, say for example seems to be disturbing the meeting or what have you, what can happen in a situation like that, Sergeant Boone?
Well, the officer, according to the act, does have the power, and the act says the officer may in the sense of the word, where they have the ability to stop that person, ask that person to desist from such operation. If the person is doing something which contravenes the act, the officer can arrest that person. However, there's also an option according to the act where the person in charge, the chairperson, if it is that these person or persons are disrupting or disturbing the meeting, the chairperson can speak to an officer who is present and ask that the officer, does something about it. Then the act says the officer shall. So whenever the request is made by the chair, then it invokes the movement of the police immediately. However, if the chair does not say anything, then it's optional for the police to use his or her discretion if this is something where we need to do something about, or perhaps it's not on a scale where the police needs to intervene. And so most of the times the recommendation is that if there is something which is disrupting the meeting, the chair gives that notion to the police officer so that they can do something about it. Under the season that we are in, you will have many persons who will come, they will talk, they will make noise. And so the reality is, it is not every person that talks or makes noise you want to get involved in. And so that is why we encourage the officers, unless the person is doing something which is illegal, or it is so loud in terms of loudspeakers and, you know, really disrupting the meeting, the police is not encouraged to get involved in everything. Yes.
Okay. Well, I think just to clarify something a bit, in terms of persons applying to the Commissioner of Police, which is local persons applying to the Commissioner of Police for permit to hold these meetings, if it is denied, as you indicated, they can seek recourse through the Governor General. When it comes to the foreigners applying to the minister, if he or she is denied, I think the recourse would be at the High Court.
Correct.
To a judge.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Just to give a bit of clarification to that. So, gentlemen, I think we are almost at the point to wrap up. So we'll now just have some closing remarks from each of you. So, Superintendent Rogers.
Okay, thank you. I want to, again, Ms. Mills, thank you for having me, and I want to thank the public for calling in. We hadn't had much calls today, so I think that they were listening keenly. And I just want to say that this topic is timely, and I admonish members of the public, organizers, to read up the act itself, because sometimes just don't take it our word for it, even though we're here speaking from the act, and it's the Public Order Act, chapter 19.11, and they can go online and get it and read it, so that they become sensitized, and when they're carrying out their actions, that they're carrying out strategic actions, and they don't want to get foul with the law. So I'm encouraging our people to adhere to the laws of the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis, and all will go well. You know, we're here. You can call us so that we could give you more sensitization and make you of faith with what is happening and what you should and what you can do. So thank you again for having me.
Okay, Sergeant Boone.
Yes, good morning again. I want to say thanks for having me here today, and to encourage the general public that when we come and have these discussions, it is to be as informative as possible, and to have a dialogue where persons can learn as much as possible. Now, I believe that knowledge is of two kinds. You either have it or know where to find it.
That's correct.
And so, with that in mind, if you have any questions or any concerns, you can make yourself, au fait with the law to some extent, and anything that you don't understand you can ask. And so you would want to start to look at aspects of the Constitution, the Public Order Act, the Public Meetings and Processions Act, the National Assembly Elections Act. All of these acts, you would want to start to look at them, and if there's something you don't understand and you need some interpretation, then you can reach out and you can ask. But I would encourage the public to, as much as possible, try and learn as much as they can.
Thank you very much, Superintendent and Sergeant Boone. And from me to you, our dear listeners, I just wish to say, or to remind us, that we are a civilized community. And of such, I would admonish us to continue to behave like that, because we know that in this season, we know the kind of things that take place, and I know that we are bigger than a lot of things that happen. And so I just wish to ask us to remember to love, to respect, to be politically matured. You understand, to just demonstrate that appreciation for the process at hand. Because you, each and every one of us, have that opportunity to choose where we would go in terms of the process, and you would not want anyone cheating your particular way because of your decision, and likewise you should not want to cheat others because of their decision. Let love and respect, like I say, just rule your decision and whatever you decide to do at this time in this season. God bless you. Thank you for listening.
Let us unite as one. Tell me what you know about love. Tell me what you know about hate. youths are separated. Tell me what you think about equal rights.